Okay. Alright. This part is now somewhat straight again. I had to beat that out last night because it was bent. And now I've got to figure out what to do next. I think I need to put the suspension mounting ball bolts back in here. Pretty sure. Gotta find it on. There we go. So this is the rear wave box here. This is what we're working on. So it says, let's have a look. There we go. That's the end of the drive shaft comes. So this goes to the front of the car. That's the back of the car. And I need these two bolts go in the bottom, the ball joint on them. And I'm not sure where the top goes. It looks like the top. So the balls are for these parts here. They will connect there. And then these just bolt directly. Do they bolt directly to the top? Well, there's every chance I put this on upside down because that's the type of thing I would do. Check this again. In fact, I may have done that. Nope, no, it's the right way. We've got the wings at the top there. Okay, so there's the exploded diagram for the, here we go. So this is the rear assembly here. The top of the suspension goes into there. So it will somehow, like that. Oh yeah, I see. That does work. It lifts it up quite a lot higher than I remembered. Okay, so first things first, if I look at the front, it has those ball joints in the middle. You can see it from there too. Oh, or is that the bottom? It might be the bottom actually. Ah, you can see the marking here though. It was in the middle before, so we'll do that. And these mount on the inside. So, go in there. bit tricky. So, doesn't look like there's any washers. There's just these locking nuts. Although, if I didn't know any better, I would have said that this had some dark plastic in the thread, which makes me wonder whether there was another piece, but I don't think there is. It may just be grime. Let's have a look. Where is it? Is this for the... Nope. Ah, the arms down the bottom. Here we go. That's the drive. Suspension. Shock assembly. Where is it? Looks like it goes straight through. Maybe the other diagram is better. It's right here. Yeah, M3 nut. Goes straight onto the ball screw. That's it. Alright. I was right. First time. Always pays to double check, triple check. Goes in there. They're quite long, these ball screws. Finger tight first. So that will snap on there like that. Another one. Find the thread. There we go. Oh, I get to use my little spanner doohickeys again, which is cool. These things, and I think these ball screws, they have an Allen key head on them. So I need to get my Allen set out to finish this. I think it was a 2, maybe? Yep, that looks right. It's a little tricky to get in there though. I remember doing that. There we go. Like that. Doing this with my left hand, it is not the most dexterous part of me. There we go. Yeah, that was going to happen. Get this thing jammed in here. There we go. I kind of actually need an Allen key. That would be a little easier. I'm trying to think how I got these out in the first place. Certainly, these are locking nuts. So, how did I do that? And they're like that, right? Yep. Looking at the front while I'm doing it, just to make sure that I'm not... I might get rid of this paper now. I think it's served its purpose. It's just kind of moving around at the moment. There we go. Alright. So I need... See, that one's not too bad. Another what's that? Yeah, it's one. I can hear something rattling around. It's most disconcerting. Oh, there we go. On the bottom of my magnet tray now. Let's try this. This one here. You know, it would have been smart. This is what I would have done before, is to put these on before I put them on. I put these onto here before I screwed this onto here, and I think that's how I got them off. It makes all the sense in the world. which I'm going to have to do because I can't really get that straight. But that's okay, this won't take long. It's only finger tight anyway. It's only 4 of them. Exploded diagrams are super useful, but they're not step-by-step instructions, and so you often make forward progress and then have to take a few steps back to be able to keep going, because you kind of just have to figure out the order by looking at it. If I can get all this off in one go, not spread the screws everywhere. There we go. Okay, so now, oops, I can tighten that up. Right under there. See, I'm trying to be finicky here by not having those screws drop out, making my life harder. There we go. There we go. Check the other one while I'm here. There we are. All right. All 4 still in there. Excellent. Guess I should check the assembly, make sure there's nothing else that's supposed to go in here while I'm there. No, the other bits are just going to be those bolts on the top, and I'll have plenty of clearance for that. So back onto the diff housing, which is what I spent yesterday replacing. This was plastic. This bit here broke, had to replace with a metal bit. And that's where we got to. It was quite the endeavor. It was nearly foiled by a couple of mangled screw heads on the bottom, but we persevered and we managed to get the old diff casing off the end of the drive shaft, and now we're back to reassembling the suspension, which is mounted to the top of the drive shaft. Okay, that's now on there. This wing will go on the back of this, like so. There's 4 mounted here. Maybe I may have to actually take those 2 out again. I think I do, and then that will mount through there, but that's fine. That's not a big deal. We'll do that at the end. I think it's going to be easier to put all the suspension on first. So these little suspension arms just clip onto there. One. One. 2. Alright, starting to look like suspension again, and then there's quite a high travel. So, oh, of course, the springs will be compressed, silly me. So you'll compress those, and then they're going to go in there with these quite long bolts, if I recall, and these spacers. So let's just check our diagram again. So that's the rear shock absorber assembly, which is what we're doing, and then it needs to be mounted. There we go, here's the top, across 3 by 18 pm. I don't know what that means. There's my ball head support, goes through the top of the shock absorber assembly, and then the M3 nut on the other side. And that's towards the back of the vehicle. This is the back of the vehicle over here, because you can see the drive shaft outlet just there, or inlet, which goes towards the center of the vehicle. So I hope I got some markings on here so I can see whether this was through the top or these second holes here. Maybe on this side. It's pretty clean actually. So the front ones, it's a slightly different assembly, but they're on the top, so I'm just going to assume that they were on the top. And it went from this side, didn't it? Yep. It goes through this spacer first, like so. Then we compress the spring, push that through. Guess we may as well do the other one while we're here. Get all the geometry to line up before we tighten it up. Turn that. There we go. Look at that. Ooh. Yeah. It's a bit spongy. Oh, it's about the same as the back, actually. I think that's okay. Let's have a look. I don't know. Maybe I'm supposed to... These are adjustable. Just checking them visually to make sure there's nothing that looks off. They look right. Let's have a look. Down. It's not quite rebounding as much as I would expect. The front seems to be rebounding more. You can see it does have a lot more travel when I lift it than the weight. I don't know. Just seems a bit off to me. Sometimes I just keep looking at it in the hope that something will occur to me. And I'll go, aha! That's what's going on. But so far, it all just seems to... I mean, it seems to be in the right spot. I am looking in here, wondering whether I should have put some screws just there. In that part of the casing, there's a hole there too. Guess I could check. Diagram. Well, this is the top, so this isn't going to show me. This one is so busy, it's kind of hard to see. And this is the plastic. It looks like maybe I should have put 2 screws in there. That's easy to do if I need to. But that doesn't affect this geometry, so that's incidental to what we're looking at right now. So the flattening went pretty good, Nick. So this piece here I just hammered out on the concrete, and it's pretty flat. It's not too bad. So maybe someone's saying I need to wind the preload on, which I'm assuming is this spring here. So maybe I just need to dial more of that in, perhaps. And that will give me the better rebound I want. See, the rake of it looks all wrong at the moment. I'm not quite sure. Yeah. Oh, now I don't have the drive shafts in either. Now that shouldn't affect the suspension geometry, but I need to do that before I put these on. I mean, they can come out, but I should do that now, obviously. So let's do that. So this one. That side. There. Okay. Snap that back on. One. Certainly have to compress it to put these on. Now, obviously, these are adjustable too, so I guess I could just try it in the second hole, couldn't I? Which will compress the spring further. And we'll give it a go. We'll see what happens, eh? Oh, of course, I need to put that on first, don't I? Like so. Like that. That's going to change the angle. I'll have a look. Let's put this other one on. Always nervous pulling these suspension arms off. Don't want to bend them. Drive shaft in to the little cups. Come on. Wheel around. This one's being a little trickier. There we go. Okay. So I've got them on different heights at the moment. I guess I'll try them. Get this one down. Okay. Oh, that looks higher, actually. See, it does sink still, though. Looks better there. Front rebounds nice and strong. Back, just squishy. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it's definitely got travel. Oop. It may just be because they're not secured. Maybe it's just the movement in the... seems to be on there enough. Not sure what else I would adjust. Interesting. Right, this way. All looks fine. In theory now, when I remove these back wheels together, front wheels, sorry. Drive shaft, the wheels are turning, so that's good. Everything seems to be lined up. Let's try putting these nuts on, I guess. We'll see what happens. One. Don't know where that's from. All these pieces I'm looking at, I'm not sure where that goes. There were a lot of replacement screws, so I am going to have a lot of screws left over. Do the shocks have oil in? You know, these ones, I don't know. I'm not actually sure. These are just the ones that came standard on them. And it's not clear. I think they might. And I'm trying to figure out by looking at the front one whether it feels like it's the... where most of the rebound is coming from. Is it just the spring? I don't think it is. The spring seems really quite weak. Or just the sort of the geometry of it all. Or is it the shock? Because that's bottoming out quite easily. The front doesn't bottom out. I cannot make that bottom out. The back does. Which suggests that I've done something wrong, but I'm trying to figure out what that would be. Are they sprung differently and you have the front shocks on the front? So I didn't disassemble the front. I only disassembled the back. So pretty sure I didn't muck anything up there. If we look at this rear assembly again, it'd be nice if this were a lot bigger, wouldn't it? Could zoom in a bit. We put all this back on last night. And we can see that the tie rod assembly here goes on to the ball there, which we've done. And that's, again, this is to the inside of the car. This is to the back of the car. So this is backwards from what we're looking at here. That all seems correct. And then the next mount point in terms of the geometry affecting all this, you'd think would be where the top mounts. And they've got them in the top, which is where I had them first, and I've moved them to here now. So there's the nut that goes through the eye there. There's the ball head support and goes through the top out towards the back, which is what we've got here. It looks correct. It looks right. And it could just be something else is broken. Because remember, this was completely broken. This was snapped in half, effectively. Here is the plastic one, and the top mount broke off completely. So until it's all back together, I don't know what else is broken, right? And that's happened with one of the other cars. I ordered what I thought was broken, replaced it, put it back together, and then only at the end realized there were other parts that were broken. And so, I mean, that could have happened here as well, but I'd have to figure out what it is. So there's still an awful lot of movement there. So I'm trying to imagine, and obviously that whole assembly at the bottom looks fine. Those two rods, those pins that I put back in, look okay. It could be increased resistance. If something is out of line, it could just be, if the geometry is not perfect, you get increased resistance, and so it won't rebound. Although it is strange that it It bottoms out so easily, and the front just does not. Like, it's impossible to bottom out the front of this. Like, I'm pushing right down. That's as far as it travels. At the back, it's bottoming just like that, which makes me think that the geometry is just wrong. I mean, I would have to be really wrong though, right? Like, I would have had to have done something quite horrifically wrong, I would have thought. For that to be the case. I didn't move any of these mount points. None of that's changed. Didn't move these arms. They've stayed fastened there the whole time. And there's only so much. And I've mounted these back where they were because I saw the markings on there, so I put them there. Unless the casing height is slightly different. But it doesn't look like it. It looks correct. Just trying to eyeball it. Looks fine. I don't see any real difference there. Yeah, so I think that's probably I think you're right. I just need to do the top ones up and then retest it once they're actually tightened, because there may just be all this movement that's doing it. So let's put them back where I think they should go, which is on these outermost holes. Take that off. I think they're supposed to go on that one. I'm pretty sure these are, yeah. There's not like a right way that you can just turn them around either way, I think. Let's have a look. One in space, so they're the same. I'll put the side that doesn't have the seam to the outside. It's a bit of grease or something there, a bit of oil. Of course, everything on this can be upgraded, so I can always get new shocks, like I did for the other car I fixed yesterday. Like these ones, where are they? I've got another one of these, another car to put these on after this, which are upgraded shocks from these spring ones. It's all internal instead. Oh wow, they do move quite a lot. Okay, this is moving the top of that quite significantly, so maybe this is it. This one as well. Move that back up. Okay. Nope. And so I didn't get this perfectly flat. It's an awful lot flatter than it was, but I was just literally beating it with a hammer. So I don't have a vise. This one's getting a bit trickier. Greasy hands now. Am I using the wrong one? No, it's the right one. It feels like it's slipping. There we go. This wasn't on. I did adjust. That's better. Okay. Maybe it was simply that. I mean, it is bottoming out. And it does feel different to the back. To the front, I should say. Seems pretty level. Oh, wow. No, that is definitely not right. It's got no give. Like the front, what is that limited by? It's like the shocks are just... That's the full travel. Ends. Whereas here... No, it's just super simple. Let's adjust these back the other way, hey? It might be these shocks. I may have damaged them, I don't know. they're not rebounding as quickly. Look at these ones. See how quickly that snaps back? Versus these ones. I don't know. That feels spongy. This bottoms out. Bang. 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 It doesn't. It's almost like a pivot point is wrong. That's what it really feels like when I'm pushing on this. I feel tension like very quickly. I feel resistance there. As soon as it gets to that sort of 180 degree at flat point. Here, it's almost like these are too high. But we did check the orientation of this yesterday. I remember us doing that. And it does seem right, unless something else here is bent, of course, which is always a possibility. I don't know. Even like twisting, it's rolling more than I would expect. I'd leave it like that. Ride height looks good, but it doesn't rebound there. Push. All the way. It only comes up that far. Push. And back up. So what else would it be? These pins in here. Mounted. Okay. I guess I should double check that, hey? So this mounting plate here and this one in here. I should check the orientation of those. You can see. That's interesting. If that's wrong, this would definitely explain it. You can see the angle. I can show you that there between the base plate there and the suspension. Because this is turned up, whereas on the front ones, it doesn't seem to be that pronounced. I don't know if I can show that. And there, it almost looks like it's flush. It's parallel, I should say, to the angle of this base plate, whereas at the back, it's not. It's like skewed that way. So let's check. Again, you can see that's this piece here. This piece here. What do they call it? Rear swing arm reinforcement plate. They have the eyelets pointed up, right, to the top of the car. But the back one, rear swing arm reinforcement plate, in the rear, the eyelets are pointed down. That's how I would call it anyway. So at the back of the car, they're pointed down. And you can see that makes sense because the base plate fits into this notch. There's no other real way that can go. And then this piece, again, I can't see how it would go the other way. I mean, I can't see, but because those eyelets are on the top. And if that was flipped around, it would just hit the base plate. There's no way that could fit the other way. So, I mean, they have to be the right orientation. And that just must be how it is. I just don't know. I don't know. It doesn't feel right. And this part can't go any bit that I flattened out. It can't go anywhere else. I mean, that's exactly how it has to be. So maybe we're just... How did it all break? I crashed it on my first driving of it, as you do with these things. I was driving on the road in front of my house and I lost control of it under a parked car, and it hit the curb. So for this one, I don't have another one to compare to. For the smaller one, I have two of them, and so I can compare them. And so that's been one of the advantages. This is the bigger one. This is mine, not the kids' ones. And so it does make it a little more difficult. I don't have a photographic memory. So the front and back shocks, they look identical. I believe they are the same part. Pretty sure they are. I mean, and just eyeballing it, you can see that. And when I've ordered replacement parts for the other one, these are the smaller shocks from the smaller car, it's the same SKU. It's the same part number for the front and the back. They don't have part numbers in the exploded assembly diagram, which is a bit odd. You just sort of go on the website and you look for parts that are compatible with the model car that you have. And so these, you can see like the bottom of the springs, the spring cups or whatever they're called at the bottom, they're just free moving. They just sort of pop in there. So I mean, I've just got to make sure everything's seated, I guess. Seated. I don't think there's not really anything else to adjust on these. You can adjust these up and down, which obviously will put more tension on the spring. So if I adjust that down as far as it goes, I don't remember changing any of this, obviously, but it doesn't mean I didn't. It's down until I run out of thread, basically, which is there. That will elongate the suspension, I would have thought. And there's oil on my hands now, so there's definitely oil in there. That might just be lubrication on the threading. And see, it doesn't really change much. Yeah, so that's a very good point. It may be that these are leaking, and that's why they're not rebounding. So I could try, the suggestion is to just try and put the front shocks on the back and see if that fixes it, and then I'll know it's the shocks. And as we said, often you don't find these things out. Because they definitely, I guess I could just compare too. I could take one off and then just compare them with my fingers, couldn't I? And see if the resistance is similar. So let's try that. Should be fairly straightforward. I shouldn't have to do anything else to do. I can just take this, one shock off. Should be fairly easy. Yeah. So it is, I mean, it seems odd that both shocks, when this, when I destroyed the front end of this, the back end of this car, that both shocks would lose their oil or pressure at the same time, but I guess it's possible. I mean, new shocks are easy enough to order, so. Yeah, that's one. To get that bit off, it looks like I just need to. So I might need a bigger. Oh, there we go. A little screwdriver it came. I got this toolkit, well, replacement screw kit for this car. That's what this was. This was a kit that came with a whole bunch of screws and the replacement pins and nuts and whatnot, and it came with a screwdriver too. And it's actually been, I don't have a screwdriver this small. I've got 00 and 000, but this has been really good. Right, so it looks like that's held in still by quite a lot of oil on my hands here. Oh, there we go. Simple as that. It's definitely moving. It's not. I mean, it's not. Alright, so we'll get the other one off and we'll compare it, hey? I'll do the same side. Oh, interesting. So I've never actually, I've never pulled the shock apart. Only the one that broke, and that was only one of these cheap ones. And like, there was just nothing to be seen inside. It was just really cheap, so. I see. So the spring is really to adjust the initial ride height, and the oil is what will get the rebound. Yeah, and that's maybe it's a whatever's keeping the oil in. What would that be, like a washer around that nylon busher there, around here? There's oil leaking out of there. Yeah, all right, so that's the bad one. That's from the back. Yeah. Help me remember. That's the bad one. That's what we think, maybe. Okay. That's the front. Put these screws in place. There we go. I guess I'll put them with their nuts. That would make more sense, wouldn't it? There we go. Alright, I should just lift out. Alright, so here's the good one. Oh yeah. A lot more resistance. I mean, I think. Easy to say. And then you second guess yourself. I'll adjust this back one in my left hand. Up to, I'll adjust this height back to where it was. I should use a marker, shouldn't I? So that's the rear one on my left. And I'll put the good one in there. I do have a Sharpie here somewhere. Here's one I prepared earlier. So this is the rear one. R for rear. And this is the front one. Front. Okay. So I was going to adjust these back up a bit. Looks about right. Oops. Yeah, Nick's pointing out that if it did slam that hard in the crash, enough to break the top of the casing, the whole, both shocks may have taken enough to blow the seal out. I'm not seeing... I'm trying to see if I can just observe like a difference in... They have a different number printed on the top, which is interesting. This one says 01 and this one says 03. But otherwise, you know, they're identical. Yeah, so let's compress them both. Yeah, you can see. Oh wow, that's interesting. The front ones are longer. Look at that. They don't compress as far. And why would that be? I've got them both wound, and I do have the back ones wound slightly. Maybe it's just that. Let's have a look. People are saying, yeah, it's blown because there's not enough. There's just no oil, right? Nothing is. It's just the spring and not the oil. Right. So that's the suspicion. And to confirm, someone said I could take the top off and look at the oil level. Is that right? How do I do that? This is a good one. So the good news is I get to upgrade my shocks. The bad news is this car won't be running anytime soon. I'll have to wait for them to arrive from China. Although sometimes they're in stock in Canada and I can get them out of Canada. So this is the top. Let's put this over here and we'll get my paper back. Unscrew the red cap carefully. Right. So there is oil in there. I can see it. I don't know how much is supposed to be in there. And then if I don't know, I shouldn't try and compress that with the cap off is my guess, right? That's going to go everywhere if I try and do that. And then I can see a pin. It looks like the top of the piston. The top of the piston. Yeah, don't do it unless you want to take a shower. Is it looks like there's a pin that goes right across there that holds the top of the piston onto whatever they call that bit. That is what will push up against the oil. Right. I mean, it does look pretty full. I don't know. I don't know how full I expect it to be. I guess I haven't actually tried. I mean, it's definitely oil. You can see it. So yeah, I'm not sure what I expect to see there. I mean, there's oil in there as well, as you'd expect, because it just sticks to everything. Oh, that's a bugger to get back on. Because I've got oil over my hands now. There we go. There we go. But yeah, that's bottoming out. Like the bottom of that, I can just do with 2 fingers like this. And this one, I can't. I get to there and it stops. It's just, I can't get that all the way. Yep, so this is definitely the rear shock. Absolutely 100%. This is definitely the front shock. It just does not compress as far. I have to stop and you can still see light between the end, the red cap here, and the plastic bottom cap. Whereas this one, chunk, all the way down. Just no effort at all. I mean, a little bit of effort, but it's just the spring. So I guess I could take the other rear shock off now and compare it. Maybe it's just the one shock that's causing most of the problems. Okay, so that is the front. That is the back. Right, so if the seal is busted, as Nick says, I'm just bypassing the oil elasticity overall. So even if the oil hasn't, you can't really see the difference of the level, is that what I'm assuming you're saying, you're not going to be getting the resistance from the oil. So it might look similar when you take the top off, but it's not going to be doing its mechanical job. Let me know if I'm right. I think that's what you're saying. All right. And of course, doesn't necessarily mean you get gushes of oil coming out. You just a tiniest bit is enough. But it does mean it's a very easy fix. And these are, I mean, getting these 2 parts, getting a set of upgraded shocks will cost me less than $10. Welcome, first time here. This is my first time sort of streaming this time of the day. I've got the week off this week, so. Coming out, seems to be, there's a long screw, that one. Come on. Happy to say I've been running the stream from my new notebook that I bought last week. This is the Asus Zephyrus. That screw is not working at all, is it? I think I need a bigger screw head. Asus, what is it? Zephyrus R14, ROG R14. And it's handling it with aplomb. 8 cores plus SMT, so 16 threads, and an RTX 2060 and a 14-inch gaming laptop chassis for under $1,500. So far it's working really well. Alright, let's try this one. See it? Oh dear, what's going on with this screw? What am I doing wrong? It's a much bigger screw head than I realized. Try this. Yes, Nick. I encourage everyone to use your vacation days. I don't care if we're stuck inside in a pandemic. I was lucky enough to get my midwinter break vacation this year before everything went to shit. So we got to Hawaii, and that was nice. And other than that, we've been here. But I still want to take my time. I got to have time to do things like this. All right. Okay. Okay, so this is the other rear shock. Remind myself what we're working on here. Okay, I'm going to get this out. Right, so the point was if the seal's broken, it's no longer really a hydraulic shock, it's a pneumatic shock because the hydraulics, aka the oil, is not serving its purpose as mechanically, to mechanically resist. And you'll just be pushing against air, effectively, which has releases, right, as part of pneumatics. So it's less. So all right, so here's the other rear shock, and if I do the same test with my fingers, yeah, I see I can bottom that one out as well. So it looks like both rear shocks. This one seems worse. This one is currently adjusted to a higher initial height. I'll just change that back. All right. But yeah, I mean the comparison. Here's the good front one again. You can see I'm not getting it all the way down. In the back one I am, just easily. Look at that. Huge difference. Yeah, well, didn't really teach the other car a lesson other than if it keeps parking there, it'll keep coming off better. As I said yesterday, I really have to find another wet place to drive these. And there's quite a lot of oil around the top. Look at that. You can just see it like shimmering off on the top of this shock. So it's almost guaranteed that this is damaged the top of that. Yeah, I mean, it's possible I could rebuild. I mean, these look finicky, right? Because they're so small, and I'm just not sure it's worth my time. Because as I said, I can buy a set of upgraded shocks for this whole car for probably like $10. And then it's just a case of putting them on. Whereas trying to rebuild this, I'm assuming it's a lot more work and a lot messier. And I'm not even sure they sell the parts to do so. And that was odd. Like that cap wasn't fully screwed on also. I actually was able to screw that on, which makes me wonder whether it was not a blown. I mean, maybe it unscrewed when it broke. I don't know. Enough that the oil started leaking. Yeah. I don't think I would get too much enjoyment out of that. It would just be a lot of time. Yeah, so that's the bad shock. I can do that one. The good shock, even with two, it's just a lot harder. I can really feel that even right at the end where I think I'm going to get there, you just can't. All right, well, I think I need to order new shocks. That's all it comes down to. Unfortunately, I only have one of these cars, so I can't transplant them. But I have the other car I brought down because I need to put the new shocks on the other car. So as long as if I clean this up and keep going, and I can at least finish the two smaller cars can both get their upgrades finished. So those are the bad shocks. Maybe I shouldn't put those somewhere I don't want oil everywhere. I'll put those screws in there. So that's the front shock. That was good. So that goes on the front here. I may as well put this back on, just to save myself a bunch of screws. And then turn this around. And then I'll get the other one out. So I've got oil all over my hands now, haven't I? Oops. Yeah, definitely going to get 4. Which means this is probably pointless. Alright. Good one. We will take all of this off. I don't want any loose bits. Alright. That means these 4 at the back too. 2 at the back, I should say. Which I think is just out of frame. Where did I put the other car? It's down there. That's a good point. Yeah, maybe I could get 2 different types. They do have lots of different options for these replacement parts. So maybe I should do that. That could be fun. What I'm learning is when you crash these, it's usually not as simple as just replacing what looks visibly busted. As I said before, you typically have to pull it apart to really see the extent of the damage. Alright, so that's all the loose bits done. All right, so that's that. They're the busted ones that are leaking oil everywhere. Let's move this out of the way. I'm gonna go get the other car. Alrighty. What I'll do is I'll put them in one of these bags. So nice new shocks. So this one, these shocks are the original ones that came on this car. This I bent one on the other car that I've got for this. So I just bought upgraded shocks for the whole lot. And I upgraded the other car yesterday. Let's put these in here. Hopefully less mess. All right, so now we're going to pull apart. This should be fairly straightforward. All we're going to do is pull these shocks off and put these ones on. Nice slick hands now. Okay. Take the shell off. So I've already upgraded these mounts. These were plastics, what I originally broke on these. Front and back, replace these ones with the red anodized version. Put blue anodized, or silver anodized on the other car, the blue one. Alright. And these ones actually mount, these have a different mounting mechanism at the top. They have these mounting sort of balls built into the top of the shock, whereas here the plastic just pushes on like on the other car. But these ones you just screw straight through. So I need to get these off. And I'd like to do it without damaging them if I can. And they are plastic, so I mean, you just got to get the right angle and they just pop off. Easier said than done sometimes. It is easier with a bit of pliers, but I don't like to chew them up if I can avoid it. There we go. One. I don't know what I said out loud now. What did I say, Nick? What did I admit to? Oh, come on, come on. Oh, there we go. Oh, look. See? Beautiful. This should be fairly straightforward. I am invoking... Yes, I really shouldn't say that. All right, so this one, I need to take these balls off. All these ball screws aren't needed because, as I said, they're built in to the mount points on these shocks. So I think this one is even too big. These are like a 1.5 mil Allen key, I think. Yep. So I'll get that bit out, put this one away. All right. Hopefully this is as easy as just doing it with my fingers. Yep. Okay. The length of that thread should give me some indication as to which screws I'm going to need to use, because these shocks didn't come with screws. But I was lucky that I thought to buy this screw kit for the other car, and of course it has a whole bunch of different screws in it. So I found the right ones in there when I upgraded the shocks on the other car of this model. Length of that seems to be about 5 mil, maybe 8, maybe a bit longer. 8 mil maybe. Okay, and they're in the middle ones. Let's just remember where we put those. Those are mounted in the middle option of those 3. Yeah, so the wheel, this model is kind of notorious for having really kind of loose toe in, and like these are just really loose. Everything here is plastic. You can get upgraded metal bits for this as well. Apparently, if you upgrade the servo arms here for the steering mechanism, it does tighten it up quite a bit. But I mean, honestly, for the type of use, it doesn't really matter. Like once the car's actually going along, these are pretty quick. These will do like 25 miles an hour, maybe 30 miles an hour. And they're 4-wheel drive, so they're a lot of fun to drive. But they're, they're cheap. They're like 60, 70 bucks. Right, and that's the other thing, is they're highly modifiable. So you can see this motor's, a lot of people will complain about these kits or these pre-builts, because they basically put oversized motors in them for how strong the car is, but they're a lot of fun. And you can upgrade them further. You can put bigger motors in it, bigger battery packs if the chassis allows. This one doesn't really, but the other one does. And they sell you that they'll happily sell you all the upgrade parts. You can put a metal base plate on. Every single part here that's plastic can be replaced with a metal equivalent. But they're just fun. But yes, this is quite a loose mechanism, and I'm not quite sure if you can see the alignment here. Now that I've taken these off, they really do skew out, right? And there really isn't a great way to get them in, and I'm not sure if it's these mechanisms here. There's really no adjustment in there that I can see, or the length of these arms maybe, and maybe that's the thing that really changes it, is that when you get the metal arms, maybe they're just longer. I'm not sure, and so they're not pulling as tight, or maybe it's a tolerance thing. I'm not sure if it's a tolerance thing in these joints here. I'm not really sure. I'm no mechanical engineer, so I won't pretend to know, but I will say when you're driving it, it's fine. Like they feel about as good as they punch above their weight for what they are. All right. Yeah, so the toe out like this makes it steer better, as opposed to toe in, right, like this. So, and then once the car's loaded up, I mean, obviously the forces of the car, it slightly adjusts it all as well. So, but we're not out there racing with these. We're not trying to win derbies or anything. So it's not like it's a huge deal. We're just trying to have some fun. All right, a little bit of hair in there. Oh, you love that. Like even things like the cups here, these are plastic on this model. So the receiver cups for these drive shafts that come off the diff here, these are plastic. And the other one, the bigger one I showed you I was working on before, they're metal, and you can obviously get metal ones instead. The first repair I had to do with this was the wheel hub here. That nut extends all the way to this metal cup. There's a metal cup in there inside the wheel hub. And that just snapped off. It sheared off completely, and so I've had to replace that already. And that was the first big crash. But these ones here are plastic, but they've been fine so far. All right, let's put this on. So I need to find the right screw. I think this screw here, maybe? Because it has to travel through. I'm not sure if that's right, actually. Let's have a look. I'll just do a freehand into here, see if it's the right. Nope, that's too thin. All right, let's have a look. Those are countersunk, it's not those. Not those. Looks like these ones, but these are quite long. That's the right thread. Oh, maybe that's fine. I think that is it, actually. They will have to be longer. Yes, Nick. I think it just lets it make a beeline for the park car without you having to do much work. Yeah, there we go. That looks like that looks the right length, doesn't it? That will give me just enough purchase in there. As I said, driving in the street out the front of the house is the most convenient place to drive. It's probably not the wisest place to drive. All right. Yeah, it was these ones, wasn't it? That's the wrong screw. It shouldn't be in there. Where'd that one go? That's from there, I think. And getting the bottom in there is a little tricky. Yeah. Okay. Let's turn this around. Use my right hand here to get some more torque. Nice. Yeah, see, that's how a shock should feel. Very nice. These sealed ones are really, they look a lot better. And I get the sense they'll be more durable. I don't know. I'm assuming there's a spring inside there. I'm not really sure how they work, but that would be my guess, right? As opposed to kind of the coilover approach of those other ones. Alright. Next one. Yeah, it was these screws, wasn't it? Just gonna use my tweezers, it's just easier. I'm putting it on the middle hole up here. Nick, I ordered one of those mats last night. I can write on to organize the screws. I also ordered a proper cutting mat for under here finally. I'm using a gaming mat at the moment, trying not to get it covered in oil and other crap. Alright. There you go. Yeah, that's a fair point. Even if I don't write on it, I can just put them in order. And I can just reverse it. Alright, let's do this round. 1, 2. Alright, that's one end. That's the front. Oh, that's lovely. Very nice. Alright, let's do the back. Now, can I do this without taking the... Oh, I guess I can just take this off. It's a little tricky to get back on, but... Apparently it's tricky to get off too. Alright. Same deal. Lever this off. 1. My shock absorber graveyard over there now. In a pile. Ugh, see, I'm mangling them doing this way, but that's alright. I'm never going to put these back on, am I? Let's face it. 2. Alright. Yeah. Nick says I'm trying to recreate the exploded assembly diagrams in real life. Okay. So once I get these cars fixed, then I can move on to doing some Lego. I don't know, I have to use this space, and I've got a couple of kits I want to build. Got that cool NES kit. Just sitting up there, ready for me to build. I'll need this space. And then I've also got the Technic Land Rover that I'm borrowing from a friend who has more Lego than he knows what to do with. Okay, I actually need to get the handle. There you go. Jeez. Sometimes it just... It's odd that it gets stuck so hard. Alright, final stretch. Last 2 shocks removed. the right screws. I'm gonna need 4 of these. 2, 3, 4. Almost thought I was going to get that win in on the first attempt that time. Try a different angle, huh? There. There we go. Come on, go in straight, please. 1, 2. All right, one more. Last one. Thanks for coming. Alright. Last screw. Come on. All right. Lovely. Very nice. Beautiful. All right. Now wing back on. Ah. Being ambidextrous would be super useful. Doing this on my left hand, and I'm not at all coordinated. Come on. Nope, that is a mess. Let's try that this way. There we go. Don't forget anything. Did I put everything back? I think I put everything back. Won't bother connecting the battery until I'm ready to use it. Alright. Lovely. All upgraded. Look at that. Beautiful. Very nice. Okay. I think we're good. Thanks, everyone. Hopefully I'm going to go and order those upgraded shocks for my other car. And then hopefully in a couple of weeks they'll turn up and we can try and get that one going again. Until then.